Believe me, I could live without you, but I really don't want to. Believe me, I could love without you, but I really don't need to. Leaving is the hardest thing to do. But being left is harder, yes it's true. But try coming back. How do I get
So it's been a while. Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. 'Tis I, MightyMidget. Now, none of you are going to be asking, where have you been? I have been self-quarantining. Self-quarantine. I've not been doing a lot apart from working. And I've had absolutely no kind of incentive to do any YouTube videos. I'm in my first week of doing self-quarantine here in the UK, and I'm bored. So to top it all off, before the whole world went to shit, I thought I would unravel to you yet another new vehicle for the channel, depending however many videos I decide to do with this car until I get bored of it and then sell it. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to present to you my 2004 Nissan 350Z. This is the first Nissan I've ever owned. It's still Jap, obviously. Why 350? Good question. I don't actually know. I had very quickly fallen in love with the, I'd say, power to price kind of ratio for these things. I picked this up for not even £5 and it comes with 280 brake horsepower, 260, 270 pound-feet of torque, I think. Don't question me on that. I'm still learning the specs. So for me, picking one of these up for such a decent price with such power compared to what my MR2 was, which is what, 170 give or take brake horsepower, for the age and stuff, for what, a couple of grand less, and then I could pick this up for what, £4.5 and I've got possibly a lot more potential in which I can put power in. MR2, you're very limited to what you can do unless you do engine swaps, you slap a V6 in it, and then you're spending that kind of money on when you could get one of these for the money you spent in. I know it comes down to a preference of car, but for me, I still like the two-seaters, I still like my Japs, and one of these just grew on me very quickly. And after watching a few YouTube videos and stuff, I was looking around on eBay, you know, Facebook, reeling them off Auto Trader, and eventually this one cropped up for me, and I fell in love. So I've actually owned this car now for about 2 months. Now there's probably about the same amount of period that I kind of had the MR2 for before I then unraveled it. That thing needed a little bit of TLC off the spot. This thing, what I've done so far is just a couple of small modifications here and there, just to kind of tart it up, make it drive a little bit perfectly. For £4.5, not everything was perfect with it, so I've just decided that within that time, just to kind of, you know, tinker around, add a few bits on, alter a few things. I still got some stuff that I need to fix. I will give you a run through of the mods in which the car also previously had installed, give you a sound clip of the exhaust, which is and just other small bits and bobs in which I've kind of just added again lightly, things that I've got ordered that are on the way that are going to be done, and vice versa. So without further ado, this is my 2004 Nissan 350Z DE. Some of you who are aware of the history of this car, you will know that there are different, I suppose, alterations to the engine. So within the years of this car's production, there were, from my understanding, there's 2 or 3. The 2 I can name is the DE, which mine is, and the HR, which stands for high revving. Mine is the DE. The only way to really kind of distinctly tell that are the 2 grooves that run down the bonnet. And as I said as well, the DE also comes with about 280 brake horsepower. The HR comes to about just shy, if not just over 300 brake. So the more preferred option. Also the engine's a little bit kind of, it gives that a little bit more torque, a little bit more beefier, higher rev, as in the name. And I think it's just the more preferred model, but you do pay the extra money for it. Nissan did also do the Nismo model for this vehicle, as they do with the current 350Z. However, obviously with a vehicle like that, you are paying the extra money for it. So current modifications of which I have only done myself to the 350 within the 2 months that I have owned it are the carbon fibre wing mirror covers. These I picked up on eBay for about 50 quid, the genuine carbon fibre. I also have a set of carbon fibre B pillars, so the whole kind of glass section there is going to be nice and glossy, and it's going to look, hopefully, very nice once done. The short stubby antenna is also another thing, because the stock antenna is way too high in my opinion. And the last thing added as well, which I have personally done, is the it's like a gold leaf kind of Japanese, I've forgotten the name of it, but I've added that. I also have a likewise gear shifter in which I am to install, which I was going to do in this video, but Muggins here forgot the adapters, so we can't do that this video. But in saying that, for some of the modifications to be shown which has already been done to this car, I need to pop the hood. So under the hood we have ourselves a 3.5 litre V6, which turns out about 280 give or take brake horsepower. Current modifications done to it before my ownership was a plenum spacer, which is installed, as you may very well be able to see there in fact. We have here a short air intake with the guarding, unbranded, not sure what it is. I may very well end up swapping the filter though at some point for a K&N one, or even a whole system if I can find one for a good enough price. We have the Mishimoto coolant hoses, which are running, I believe, here and possibly a few other places. Again, I haven't studied my history and my knowledge of the engine bay, so to me that's the only one that sticks out. There may be some more running around the engine bay. And one thing down here we have is an oil catch can, which to my attention with the DEs, these things are massive oil drinkers. So far it's been okay, but again, it's just something I need to keep my eye on, because obviously that's one of the big issues which runs commonly throughout these cars. One thing I also have fitted inside the ashtray of this car is a D1 spec GT throttle controller. I currently have it in normal, but again, another thing I'm well aware with a 3.5 litre V6 is it's going to be very, very thirsty on fuel. So on this you do have the option to have it on normal, economy 10, which being a high setting, hopefully the most economic. I'll go back to normal, and then you have the sport mode. Usually when I have it in sport mode, I just leave it in 5. When you have it at sport 10, the throttle is so sensitive that it's almost unbearable, to be fair. You do so much as breathe, and that's it. You find your spine is glued to the back of your chair. Now, being the GT package as well for this car, I do also have fully electric heated seats as well, and I'm not gonna lie, these are a blessing. I have never had such a luxury in a car for myself. Obviously I've had the Sleeker and the MR2, they didn't have this kind of feature, but having electric heated seats, good God, it is literal heaven. Speaking of the GT package, as you may have noticed in the reveal of this car, we do also have our Brembo brakes and the Forged Ray 18-inch alloys. The previous owner also installed a set of Japspeed hub-centric alloy spacers, front and rear, 20 at the front, 25 at the rear, to again give it that flush fitment, which I'm not gonna lie is, I mean, you could do it with a couple more mil if you really wanted to, but this is a common setup for a lot of 350s owners if they do run spacers. But to me it is as close as it needs to be. By far they've got to be one of my favourite mods. But my favourite modifications to this car by a landslide are those 2 little pipes that are down there, which are currently ruined by the sound of some DB killers inside them. Let's change that. So what we are currently running on the back of the 350Z is a Japspeed K1 catback exhaust with an NVIDIA Y pipe, which, with the silencers out, sounds a little bit like this. So my trombone's a little bit loud. And yep, before you point it out, I know the exhaust is blowing. Badly. But besides the noise, ladies and gentlemen, that is just about everything on my Nissan 350Z. There are small things as well, which I forgot to mention. There's like the Exedi clutch, which it's got a stage 1 clutch currently in it. The rear lights have been swapped for the HR headlight, for the tail lights rather. Again, they just look a little bit nicer. The side lights as well are slightly different. They are running the 370Z style side lights, which again looks very nice, just subtle little touches, which makes the car just look so damn good. The current things lined up in which I would like to do for the Nissan 350Z: lower it, wheels, fix the exhaust. There is also a rattling coming from my car somewhere. I cannot work out for the love of me where the hell it's coming from, but good God is it pissing me off. There's also a small little bit of aero in which I'd like to do to this car, possibly add some spats to the rear side of the car. I'd also like to get a bigger tail, duck tail at the back, which again I just think would keep it amazing. Don't get me wrong, I like the look of the big wangs on these things, but for me I just prefer the low, kind of not slammed, but just low, little bit of camber on the wheels, deep concave wheels, duck tail. And obviously I just want to make it perfect, just beautifully immaculate, you know, all the door handles kind of either painted or just refurbed, and just small little mods in general just to make it my own. And I may have said this about the MR2, but I do generally plan on keeping this car for the long term because it's not exactly more practical because the boot is still extremely small, but for the money I paid for it and its mileage as well, which is sitting on about 87,000 at the moment. I mean, I'm just standing here looking at it and I'm thinking, good God, that is... The fact that you can pick one of these up for $4.5 grand, $5 grand, give or take, if you've got that money and you want, you know, a entry-level sports car, such as this, or you can even go for something like the BMW Z4, Z3 even as well. When for that kind of money you get a car of this performance for that money, it's really impressive. I mean, straight off the bat, I've owned this car, as I said, for 2 months, and I absolutely adore this thing. So if any of you are watching this video kind of wondering whether or not you want to own a Nissan 350Z, for the love of God, do it. If you want to make that investment. If you haven't got enough for a 370, but you still want one of the, you know, the 350, 370, the 300 lines or whatever, but you want something newer, by God, go for one of these, because so far I am absolutely smitten with this car. And realistically, I have never had this feeling towards a car, feeling kind of like a car enthusiast again since I last owned a Celica. The MR2 I enjoyed, but being a classic, I didn't really want to tamper with it too much, but at the same time I wanted to turn it into like some Rocket Bunny kind of replica. That is basically it, ladies and gentlemen, for the new car for the channel. Whether or not you're going to see it much or not, I don't know. If this, you know, this virus continues to go on, then perhaps if I continue to get bored, then I will upload more footage. So I've got a couple of mods in which I've got kind of on the way and at home in which I need to install. So again, I can very much, you know, whilst this whole epidemic is going on, you know, there's a few things in which I can get done to the 350, which is a little bit of content, a bit more kind of stuff on YouTube, and a bit more kind of just content in general for the 350, because I've noticed on YouTube there is a fair bit of content there, but not enough to kind of warrant, you know, whether or not you should buy one or not. I mean, I struggled quite a lot to find a good video to basically decide whether or not I should get one or not, at least on YouTube. So I kind of hope this video will help a few of you guys who are unsure whether or not you should get a Nissan 350Z or not. Me off the bat, yes, get one now. But thank you again, ladies and gentlemen, very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, then please go ahead, drop a like, subscribe, add this video to your watch to later. Recommend it to your friend, your aunt, your nan. You know, if you're with the family, then you want some content to watch, then recommend it to your dog. I'm sure your dog will appreciate watching it as well. Thank you very much for watching this video, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you guys later. Just a quick one that I want to add on to the end of this video as well is obviously just a massive thank you to the essential workers who are still out there, you know, whilst this whole pandemic is going on. Obviously that includes the NHS, being England, who are doing an incredible and amazing job in fighting this virus, and I am truly privileged to have a health system like that in my country. Construction workers, delivery drivers, you know, food delivery companies, who, you know, food chains who have still remained, you know, the shop is closed but are delivering food to people's doorsteps, and everyone else involved in you know, still working and kind of battling their way through this pandemic in which the whole world is having to face. So I'm not gonna, you know, talk too much about it, but I do sincerely just want to thank every single one of you. Especially if any of you are watching this video, you know, if whilst all this is going on, I mean, myself, I'm having to self-isolate. I can't do my job from home, sadly, so I'm now having to self-isolate. But I do just want to say that any essential workers at this time who is watching this video, again, construction, NHS, sincerely from the bottom of my heart, thank you so, so much for everything you are doing right now. It is truly incredible, you know, what you're doing. And, you know, there is not enough round of applause in the world which can truly express mine and perhaps everyone else's gratitude for everything that you're doing in these extremely hard times. Once again, thank you so much for everything you're doing.